Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, July 5th, 2024, and welcome to Capital Markets Quickie, where we bring you up to speed on the latest market moves every weekday morning. I'm your host, Endrit Cela. So let's dive into what happened in the markets yesterday. European stocks rose as key elections took center stage, and investors grew more optimistic about potential Federal Reserve interest rate cuts following U.S. economic data that supported the case for easing. France's CAC 40 benchmark index advanced ahead of this weekend's final round of snap parliamentary elections. Europe's regional stock 600 index climbed 0.6%, with banks leading the gains. U.S. equity futures contracts were little changed, with cash markets shut for Independence Day after the Standard & Poor's 500 and Nasdaq 100 set fresh record highs on Wednesday. Now let's talk about global stocks. Well, they are on track for their longest stretch of weekly gains since March, driven by a series of soft U.S. economic data, which has revived hopes for a September rate cut. Reports on Wednesday showed the American services sector contracted at the fastest pace in 4 years, while the labor market saw further signs of softening before Friday's key jobs figures. An expert noted, with the ISM services falling to 48.8, the weakest since the pandemic, and job claims deteriorating, the negative data is being seen as positive for markets. It feels like September is the date everyone is now looking at. Elsewhere in Asia, an MSCI gauge for the region rose to its highest in over 2 years. Japan's TOPIX climbed to a record high. The yen strengthened after hitting its lowest level against the dollar since 1986. On the U.S. rates front, minutes from the Fed's June policy meeting showed officials awaiting evidence that inflation is cooling and were divided on how long to keep borrowing costs elevated. Economists anticipate a 190,000 gain in June non-farm payrolls, with the unemployment rate holding at 4%. Meanwhile, traders are tracking speculation that President Joe Biden could scrap his run for re-election after last week's debate with Donald Trump heightened concerns about Biden's age. Wall Street has started shifting money between assets that would be affected by a November Trump victory. In other news, Bitcoin fell for a third day, with traders citing factors including the drama around Biden's candidacy and potential government sales of the tokens in Germany. Now let's move on and talk about the commodities market. Oil dropped from a 2-month high as traders assessed lower U.S. crude inventory data and the severity of Hurricane Beryl. Iron ore futures climbed to the highest level in nearly a month on optimism for improvement in demand from China. That's all for today. Thanks for tuning in to Capital Markets Quickie. I'm Endrit Cela, and I'll catch you tomorrow with more market updates.